Welcome to the Sellernomics podcast, sharing valuable tips and information in the Amazon and e-commerce space. Each week, we deliver the best interviews with some of the top Amazon personalities in the industry to help you grow your business. Today's episode is brought to you by GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. And now, here is your host, Rob Stanley.
Hey everyone, Rob Stanley here. Welcome back to another episode of Sellernomics. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to grow your Amazon business strategically. And I've got Alie Ramírez from SellersFunding. Hi, Alie. Welcome to the
Rob.
show.
Thank you so much for
Great
having
to have
me.
you on. Yeah. We've been working on this for a little while to get you on. So we got some great information that Allie's going to share, not only about SellersFunding, but also how to help Amazon sellers grow their business strategically. And we got some questions I'm going to dive right into to help Amazon sellers out on kind of how they could do that. So
Absolutely.
Why don't we talk a little bit about what do you find is the biggest challenge sellers have when they're trying to get funding?
I think one of the biggest challenges is finding your right partner. You want to be able to trust who you're actually working with when it comes to funding. And one of the biggest things that we can offer here at SellersFunding is speed. It's very easy for you to apply. It's very easy for you to get your funding once you have your pre-approval, but you have an actual person that you can connect with. So that's one of the biggest things that you feel that you can trust when you're talking to somebody. You're not going to be calling an 800 number, going through tons of hoops. You have a direct account manager that you can WhatsApp, you can call, you can email at any time throughout the process. So I think not only finding the right partner, but having the ease and being able to get your money extremely fast is one of the hardest things that we hear clients have issues with.
Yeah, that's good information. And so we're already, we got some people on. We appreciate that like and that subscribe, hit that thumbs up. And let's take a look who's here. Our good friend Danon's here. What's up,
Hey,
Danon? Danon, big shout out to Danon. We appreciate him jumping on. Always nice to have him on. So yeah, let's jump back into this. Danon, we appreciate that. Let's also talk a little bit about, I want to dive straight into a success story. Why don't you give us, and you can go into some detail, give us some background on maybe a success story of maybe a seller you've worked with that got funding, maybe how they used it, how it helped them, and tell us a little bit about a success story you guys have had.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest success stories that I've been able to personally work with has been somebody that close to 2 years ago was pre-approved for a $50,000 line of credit and slowly was able to utilize that to invest it in inventory, but then also for growing his team. So slowly and strategically was able to invest and get more and more and more funding from us. Well, 2 years later, he was able to reach a pre-approval of $2 million, use that $2 million to continue expanding his business and actually exited his business. So it was amazing to see how somebody can start from a smaller pre-approval all the way to one of our larger clients. We were able to meet in person and just hear his story of how amazing his experience was throughout the 2 years, and being able to see him exit successfully was just an amazing story.
Excellent.
So
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
other thing,
Tell some more.
yeah, no, so we have tons of stories like that. That's just one of the success stories, but we have clients that have been saying, I've been trying to find funding and I just have not found a partner that works with somebody international, for example. So we were able to fund somebody that had an entity in Canada and had not been able to find the appropriate funding partner. So we have so many different types of success stories. A lot of them are actually on our website, so feel free to check those out. We have some videos of our clients and some of our success stories that we personally are very proud of being able to work with.
Yeah, so let's go back to the story you just told us about this person that got funding from you guys. Give us a little background, like how long were they selling, on Amazon, or how long had they been around? What point did they decide to kind of get funding from you guys? And then were they able to use that to make more money, in the sense of were they just getting more inventory, or were they driving more of their current inventory? Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so when he came to us, he actually had a terrible experience with one of our competitors. Had basically a terrible rate, but basically disguised as a great rate, a lot of hidden fees. And that was one of the things that he was very upfront about with us, that he wanted to make sure everything was upfront. He was pretty much not comfortable taking funding anymore with anyone until we were able to ease his worries and show him we have no hidden fees. Everything is laid out. It's right there for you to see. And once he started working with, he just continued in buying more and more inventory. He actually expanded his SKUs. He only had about 2 SKUs when he started working with us, and I believe when he exited had over 20 SKUs. So was able not only to grow his business just in the existing way, but or existing products, but he's also able to expand his business.
Very nice. And Alie, so on the topic of kind of helping out Amazon sellers, uh, has Sellers Funding kind of seen a certain point that is kind of the correct point to get funding? Like, if an Amazon seller's been selling for a month or two, is that necessarily versus maybe a year? Like, at what point is kind of that right time frame that you guys have seen? And then do you find most people are taking advantage of it to get more inventory, or what other ways are they also taking advantage of the funding?
So something that's really important, and I'm sure everybody listening understands, every business is completely different. However, one thing that we have seen is you cannot wait until you're almost out of inventory or right there when you're out of inventory, because one of the top reasons why startups fail is because they run out of cash. It could be for multiple reasons, but we've seen this in a study of over 110 companies, that they failed majority because of not having enough cash. So going along with that, it's very important to set your year very, very far in advance and ensure that you're not running out of inventory ahead of time, and that you're investing in the right time for your marketing and things of that nature. So we're here to be able to give you a pre-approval, and that's the beauty of it. You don't have to use it today. When you apply with us, you have a month, and we can renew that pre-approval every single month, and we can even increase that pre-approval. So it's really good for you to connect to our platform, see how much we can offer, so that when you're ready to pull that trigger, you already know exactly how much we've pre-approved you from, and it can take you between 1 to 3 business days to get the funds. So you don't want to wait to be able to run out of money or run out of inventory. Do it ahead of time, and we're here to help you with that.
At what point, like, do you find, I'm sorry, not what point, what are some of the reasons that they seem to be running out of money? Or is it just the fact that their sales are going crazy and they don't have enough inventory and they need to buy more? Is that seem to be the main reason, or what other reasons have you seen?
We've seen a lot of clients that have money that just isn't coming in when it's supposed to. We know all too well that Amazon specifically can hold funds for way longer than they should, and that's a huge portion of why sometimes people are running out of cash flow way before they were anticipating to. We also have a product that we can talk about later, but our daily advance product can absolutely help with that as well, because it's a cash flow solution, so that you don't actually have to worry about when Amazon is going to pay me.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm going to go back because I kind of was asking what was the kind of best way to use the funding. So, what are some not great ways, or the incorrect ways to use this funding that, if somebody comes to you and they're like, "Hey, I know I need some funding, but I want it use it for XYZ," and you might be like, "Hey, X is great, but Z is not." What are some of the ways that you've seen that Amazon sellers try to maybe use funding from you guys, but you don't recommend them doing that?
So nothing that I wouldn't necessarily recommend outside of business. Of course, we want to make sure the funds are being invested into the business. But one of the top things we've seen is somebody is too excited to open a new SKU, for example, or expand their business when they're still not stable enough in the inventory that they currently have. So rather than growing their current inventory, we have seen them try to expand it to 10 additional SKUs. So that's one of the things that we've seen a very, very large amount of. But the beauty of it is that we're not going to force you to use this for inventory only. You can use this for marketing spend, you can use this for advertising, you can use this to expand your team. We don't force you to use the money for any specific thing. You get to know your business better than any of us. So choose where you want to invest it in.
Yeah. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. Um, so it is okay if they are currently going and currently selling, and they want to fund a brand new product that they've never sold before, that's okay. And you
Absolutely.
guys, okay,
However, we
go
do
ahead.
want to make sure that the current cash flow is going to support us being able to lend you money. So if it's for a brand new product that you've never sold, it's not going to be something that we won't allow to use it. You can use it for that, absolutely. But we're going to also make sure that your current sales are going to trend enough for us to be able to give you that money.
Yeah. And so what are some of the reasons you see, like when Amazon sellers are selling and they start running out of funding besides inventory? Is there other reasons you kind of see them running out of money? Are they just like withdrawing too much out of their own business? Or what kind of other issues have you seen with Amazon sellers? And then is sellers funding the right way to correct some of those issues, or maybe not, depending on the issue they're running into?
Right now, really what we've seen the main issue is because of inventory and logistics. It's just been a worldwide issue for the coming, past year and a half or 2 years now. So it is something that we've seen a lot of sellers struggle with. So I want to say that would be the highest reason why somebody is struggling, in addition to Amazon holding funds, is the logistics issues. Not only are sellers now moving a lot of their of where they're getting their products, they're moving it to another country. Um, but in addition to that, we also have seen some of our sellers say, I got my merchandise, but it's still sitting somewhere. It hasn't been, in Amazon, it hasn't been scanned in. So it's taking even longer, not only to just get the merchandise, but actually get it scanned into your store. So unfortunately, it's something we all know all too well, but Sellers Funding really can help you with mitigating that. If we give you a pre-approval way ahead of time, you can schedule your inventory purchases way far in advance.
Yeah, that's perfect. So we're going to take a quick break, but after we get back, we're going to talk a little bit with Alie about sellers funding and kind of what sets them apart from the competition right after this quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by GETIDA, the global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements. Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at getida.com/Sellernomics.
Yeah, so be sure to head on over to getida.com/Sellernomics. Get your first $400 in FBA reimbursements free. And today I've got Alie Ramírez on from Sellers Funding. We're talking about how to grow your Amazon business strategically. And right before the break, we were going to talk a little bit about, when we came back, kind of what sets Sellers Funding apart from their competitors. So Alie, give us kind of a breakdown of the different things the different options, I should say, not things, the different options that set Seller Funding apart from some of the competition out there.
Sure. So one of the top things that we get questions on is, what do you do? Do you only do funding? Of course, our name suggests funding. But Sellers Funding is so much more than that. We are a full suite of services for e-com sellers. We want to make sure that anything that has to do in the financial services that we can help you grow strategically, we can offer. So we have everything, and I'll just name them and we can go into detail, Rob. But
Yeah.
basically we have multiple ways that we can fund your business. We have cash management solutions in the form of a daily advance. We have global payments where you can pay and receive money in multiple currencies. We have a prepaid business card. We've got invoice factoring and a couple new products coming our way.
Yeah, let's go into each of those. So and my apologies, because you gave them to me pretty quickly, but go ahead and go over each one of those and go into a little more detail on each of them.
Sure. So starting with our funding options, because as our name suggests, that is
Sure.
definitely one of the top things that people come to us initially for until they learn about the additional products that we have. So we have two types of funding. We can actually do a regular APR product, and we can do a revenue advance. So our APR product, which is our credit limit, allows you to take money at 12 or 18 months, really depends on your business need. You get to choose what your terms are going to be. That's one of the top things that's really talked about at Sellers Funding, is how flexible we offer our terms. We'll send you a pre-approval. You get to see what that looks like on your end before you even draw the funds. You get to use a slider to choose how long you want to take this for. And if you want to take advantage of one of the top things that sets us apart from our competitors, of our interest only. So our interest only period basically allows you to pay exclusively the interest for up to 4 months. and basically defer the principal. And this is where we were talking about these logistics issues that we know that everybody is facing. It makes your payments a little bit more manageable, and it allows you to wait for your inventory to start actually giving you additional revenue, and then you start making payments. If you're waiting for something that's going to take 2 to 3 months for you to start selling, we're not going to expect you to start making huge payments in the next week or so. So that's one of the huge things that we offer that is also different than our competitors. We also offer a different type of funding. So it's called the revenue advance, where it's basically a flat fee taken up front. So we're not going to take a percentage of your sales. You're basically going to be pre-approved for a certain amount. And as soon as we send you that money, we will take a flat fee up front, and your payments are going to be exactly the same for the next 2 weeks. There's no surprises and nothing for you to have to worry about calculating how much your payments are going to be. They're going to be set in stone. So both of those are the ways that you can actually get funded. And again, you can utilize these for advertising, for inventory, expanding your team, marketing, pretty much anything that you need to grow your business at that time.
That's great. That's good information. I appreciate you breaking each one of those down too. Let's talk a little bit about like how quickly can a seller get the funds,
Mm-hmm.
and is there a minimum, a maximum? Let's go into a little detail on that.
Yep, perfect question. So right now we have a threshold of about $20,000 in net sales for the past 3 months. We do require you to have been selling for the past 6 months on Amazon, which that's something that's huge, because if you go to a bank or if you go to some of our competitors, if you haven't been selling for at least a year, you won't be able to take any funds. We only require 6 months. And again, for the past 3 months, you have to be selling $20,000 in net sales. Another requirement is that we do require you to have a business entity in the US, Canada, UK, and Australia. We are hoping to expand additional as well, but for your business entity, that's where they need to be actually established. However, you can live anywhere in the world. So as long as that's where the entity is, we can move forward.
Okay, so just to clarify on that, so they can live anywhere, but they're selling on which marketplace? US and what else?
So the business entity has to be in the US,
Okay,
UK, Canada, and Australia. And then selling can be in Amazon US, Amazon UK. It could be Europe as well, and
excellent.
Canada. So, and you can get funding in as little as 1 to 3 business days is our maximum amount. As long as we have all the documents that we need in place, we've done funding in 1 business day.
So here's a not a trick question, but just curious. You yourself personally,
Hmm.
if you're allowed to tell us, or maybe give a round number, what is the biggest funding you've got for a seller so far?
Um, Me personally, I believe
Approximately.
a little over $10 million.
There you
So
go.
we have a
Wow.
quite a large threshold. We start at $20,000. That's our absolute minimum, and we can go all the way up to $10 million.
Wow. That is a lot of money. Hopefully they're
Yes.
using it right, and I hope they're listening and making a lot of money with it. So that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
So
And our
what about?
application, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So
No. Go
our
ahead.
application literally takes 2 to 3 minutes. You know, we have a direct API with Amazon, but not only with Amazon, we can fund you with any marketplace. So you can be on Shopify, you can be on BigCommerce, on eBay, or any other major marketplace. We can connect and review the sales for all of them and send a pre-approval for all of those. And that again takes 3 to 4 minutes, and we can give you a pre-approval in less than a day.
That's perfect. So let me ask, and I know I've already kind of asked this question, but I want to ask it a little different because I really want people to be clear and understand sellers funding and how it works. So,
Mhm.
do you guys only provide funding to help sellers scale, or because scale could be inventory, or what other ways are you providing funding? I know we kind of covered a little bit, but I want to make sure people are
Mhm.
clear on that.
Yeah, so again, you can actually utilize the money for anything. It could be inventory for you to scale and grow your business, but it could also be for you if you already have your established inventory, you have plenty of inventory because it's already here, it's just sitting there. How do you move your inventory? You can invest then in your marketing and your advertising or your PPC. So those are ways that you can utilize the funds so that you can scale and grow appropriately.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, We're going to need to take a quick break, but after the break, I want to talk to Alie a little bit about how can SellersFunding support international expansion. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about Alie and her background, and then a little bit about how to get a hold of SellersFunding and Alie after that. So Alie, hang tight 1 second. We'll be right back after this break.
Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics.
Yeah, so once again, head on over to GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Take advantage of that $400 in free FBA reimbursements. And again, I've got Alie Ramírez from SellersFunding, and we're talking about how to grow Amazon business strategically. And right before the break, we were going to talk about how can SellersFunding support international expansion. Alie, tell us a bit about that. We already kind of just talked about like the different areas, obviously, you guys do support. Mm-hmm. But what kind of ways have you seen sellers kind of take advantage of SellersFunding to be able to expand to some of these international markets? And everybody knows Amazon USA is kind of the big one, right? And yep. So out of just curious of what you've seen when people do come to you guys for international expansion, how are you helping them, and what markets are you seeing them expand into next after the US?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the biggest ways that we can help is not only that we can provide funding in euros and Great British Pound and US dollars, as well as Canadian dollars, but we offer that daily advance or cash flow solution. We can allow you to start receiving money every single day rather than waiting for Amazon to pay you. So what we offer is you can apply for our daily advance product. And let's say you're only selling on the US and you want to expand now to Amazon UK, and you're just not quite sure how it's going to go. And you know that Amazon is going to be holding funds and things like that. So, what we can do is you apply with us, and for your US and your UK store, we'll advance you between 70 and 90% of yesterday's ship net sales. So, it'll allow you to receive money every single day. And then once Amazon pays you, we'll collect a small fee. Our small fee can start at 0.5%, so it's quite small, but it allows you to not have to worry about when is Amazon going to pay me once I expand into additional markets. And going along with that product, we offer a digital wallet, which they work hand in hand together, because once you expand internationally, you're going to have to worry about now what bank account am I going to utilize? How am I going to receive euros or Great British Pound if I've never sold in these countries? So SellersFunding can offer those receiving accounts for you in our digital wallet. You can receive these currencies for free. So right now we support 4 currencies that you can receive into, and it's Great British Pound, Canadian dollars, euros, and US dollars, rather than paying Amazon for you to have to convert it and receive into your current bank account. One of the biggest things is that not only do you receive it for free, you can withdraw it for free into your own bank account, and you only pay when you're ready to convert it. So whenever the amount is ready for you to be moved, you can go ahead and convert it. And we charge a very, very small foreign exchange fee.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So yeah, that's really helpful. So Alie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, what brought you to SellersFunding, and maybe mention how people contact you after that, and we'll kind of go from there.
So I actually am from Puerto Rico. I was born in Texas and moved to Puerto Rico when I was quite young.
I love how the accent changed there. Puerto Rico to Texas. I love it.
Yeah, my family bothers me that I'm not a real Puerto Rican because I wasn't actually born there, but I was raised there. I love where I'm from, and I grew up there. I was there until I was 21 years old, and came to the States to just start a new life and find a new career. I actually studied pre-med, and I was going to be a doctor and decided that it just wasn't the right path for me. Attempted to work as an intern for a dentist and tried that route, and just I realized the health industry just wasn't for me, even though all 5 of my sisters are either nurses or nurse practitioners or occupational therapists. I just wasn't in the cards for me and my family. I decided to do an MBA in business, in international business, studied Mandarin, and went on a study abroad in China for about 6 weeks. And it was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life, and where I decided I wanted to work with sellers or just businesses internationally. And the pandemic, unfortunately, led me to lose my job of 6 years, but fortunately for me, also landed me to work at SellersFunding. And now I'm working in exactly what I wanted to with international businesses. So a little bit about me.
See how cool it is. This is why I have people on the podcast. These are things I didn't even know about Alie. I didn't know she like studied Mandarin. I knew a lot of the other background, but how cool is that? That is super cool. So, well, now I've got other things to talk to Alie about when I see her, since we hang out all the time. So Alie, why don't you, and I'll put it up on the screen, but why don't you tell everybody a little bit, if they're interested in signing up with SellersFunding or getting more information before they sign up, how do they get a hold of you? What should they do? Give us the information.
Yep. So there's a few ways that you can get in contact with me. And again, Rob will put it up on the screen, but you can either call or WhatsApp the number on the screen, 332-213-5477. You can also email me directly at alexandra@sellersfunding.com. And if you're ready to just go ahead and apply, feel free to go to SellersFunding app, sellersfundingapp.com, and you can apply to working capital and just send me an email and say, hey, I saw you on the podcast. I want to see where my application is, and I will personally review it.
Yeah, so that's a good question. When they go and sign up, is that a commitment at that point, or is it more just like, hey, we're starting the process, we're going to talk and kind of get everything laid out?
Yep, absolutely. There is no commitment whatsoever. You go on our site and it just allows us visibility to see what we could potentially send you. And what we send is a pre-approval. Again, no commitment, just allows you to see what that looks like, what the rate is like. You can, call and understand it further. I'd be happy to walk anybody through any of the pre-approvals that we send. Once you're ready even to click on the draw, there is a confirm draw button that is still not binding. It allows us to review what documentation we have, what documentation we need, and that's where it can take 1 to 3 business days. So it allows you a lot of flexibility once you're ready to move forward.
Perfect. Yeah. And so if anybody's interested in just learning more about SellersFunding before they sign up, they can go to sellersfunding.com. So it's, I'll actually put it down in the description. So if you're watching the video on YouTube, I'll have it down in the description. I'll have Alie's contact information there also. But if, for those that are listening, SellersFunding, SellersFunding.com, sellersfunding.com. Again, or you can get a hold of Alie. And she gave the phone number already. And again, I'll have it down in the description. So Alie, pleasure having you on. I really appreciate it. It's only taken a year or two to get you finally on.
I appreciate you having me on, Rob.
See what happens. Alie and I hang out for like a year solid, and she just keeps kind of bugging me, and I keep bugging her about being on. So, well, it's great having you on. And thank you for providing all this great information for Amazon sellers to take advantage of and grow their business. So this is absolutely amazing. So if I missed anything, let me know. Otherwise, I appreciate it. And again, everybody be sure to check out sellersfunding.com. And Alie, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you again, Rob.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Sellernomics podcast. Special thanks to our sponsor, GETIDA. Did you know that Amazon probably owes you money for FBA reimbursements? Get $400 in free FBA reimbursements at GETIDA.com/Sellernomics. Be sure to join us again next week for more great tips on how to grow your business. And thanks again for listening.